Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to talk about the New Mutants in the MCU. I believe the New Mutant should be a Disney Plus show with 5 episodes. I know that there are probably more episodes in most of the Disney Plus show. Hell, WandaVision was 9 episodes, but I feel like 5 episodes should be enough for the New Mutants. And with that out of the way, let's get started. We start off with Daniel Moonstar arriving at the Xavier Institute, and she meets Charles Xavier. He welcomes her with a warm smile and tells her that this will be her home for the time being. Daniel smiles to him back and says that she's happy to be at the Xavier Institute. Once Danielle gets inside, she is greeted by a bunch of people, and they introduces themselves. Ileana Rasputin, Sian Coy, Sam Gutter, Robert Darkos, Renee Sims, and Amara Krill. While they all are talking, Danielle noticed that Ileana giving a pretty mean look, and she wants to ask her why she does that. But Xavier tells Samuel to take Danielle to her room or show her to her room because he probably wants to relax, he says. While Samuel is escorting Danielle to her room, she asks him why Ileana gave her that mean look. Samuel says that Ileana is a bit of a mean person, not and that she has a hard time opening up to people. Daniel tells Samuel that she doesn't really want to become a hero. She just wants to learn to control her powers. Samuel completely understands that and says that many of them is just like that. He wants to become a hero, but what he wants more is to control his power, because he knows that if he can't control his power, people will get hurt. And then he leads her to a room, and they part ways for now. In a secret hideout in New York City, we see a man. We don't learn who he is just yet, but we see he's talking to someone, and we learn that they're after Daniel Moonstar. They say to him that the other mutants don't matter, but you have to capture her alive. And he agrees. We hop over to see the New Mutants in the dance room training. Daniel asks why they have to learn to fight. Samuel says that even if she doesn't want to be a hero, she should learn to defend herself, and that learning to fight can also help her to learn to control her powers. And she agrees to it. She feels it a little bit strange, but she doesn't question it. And they all show off their powers. But they fail to complete their objective, which Ileana takes out on Daniel, saying that it's her fault that they failed. And Daniel tries to defend herself, but then they hear Xavier speaking on the comic, telling them all that they all did a good job and they should try harder tomorrow. But now they were all ordered to go to bed and go to sleep. Later we see Danielle in her bed sleeping, and we see that she's dreaming that she is in the woods, and she's calling for her family. She's calling for a friend, but no one is showing up. We see her walking around the woods for a bit, and then a big demonic bear comes through the woods and growls at her. She screams and tries to run away, but the demon bear, or what she believed to be a demon bear, follows her, and Daniel trip and fall, and the bear is above her, ready to strike. And then we see Daniel wake up screaming, and then she starts to cry. And she wake up Chian Koi, because since they are sharing a room, Sian sprang over to Daniel and asked her what was wrong, and she told her that she had a horrible dream. And then she started crying again. Sian tried to comfort her for a bit, and Daniel calms down. What this scene does is to set up what character Sian Koi is. She's a kind-hearted person, and that is pretty shown in this scene. And that was episode 1. We start up episode 2 with Daniel talking to Xavier about her nightmare, but Xavier tells her just that it's just a dream and can't really harm her, and their conversation ends pretty quickly. Then we see Ileana start to make fun of Danielle again because she calls her a scaredy cat and a crybaby or something like that. And Danielle gets pretty angry, and the two of them start to argue until Sam comes and breaks them up, and he tells Ileana to leave her alone or he's gonna report her to Xavier. Ileana walks off and Sam tells Danielle to not get bothered by Ileana. Back in the hideout in New York, we see the man who we saw in the first episode, and then we learn that he is Henry Grid and that he is after Danielle. We learned that he was after her in episode 1, but now is the time he really makes his move. He recruits a bunch of hired goons to help them hunt, but when some of them tells him that they don't want to help him hunt children, he shows his racist side and tell them that they are only mutants and they don't matter. And that make a good portion of the people he tried to hire to just leave. Didn't want to work under a racist. One of them was black, and he points out that, saying that of course black people would defend mutants. After all, you are shamed just like them. And that is showing how much of a racist he is. He doesn't like mutants and he doesn't like black people. He's the type of person that nobody really like. Then we hop back to the Xavier Mansion where we see he rates Renee, Amara and Sian Koi talking about Ileana's behavior. They all three of them are pretty sick about how Ileana is treating Daniel. They're all saying that Daniel doesn't deserve to be bullied the way she is. But then they all is interrupted by a big car with lots of goons showing up. And now they all have to go out and defend their school. Xavier tells them that they need to fight those people because those people are not only armed but probably dangerous as well. And then maybe the biggest fight scene right for now happens. Ileana shall teleport and cut down multiple enemies. Roberto turned into his son form and actually managed to knock a few of them out. He's doing his best not to harm anyone, but he's not scared of fighting them either. Samuel uses his energy power to blast himself into some of them and around the field. Daniel uses her telekinetic power to knock a lot of them out, while Mara uses her magma power. Renee transforms into a dog, wolf or whatever and attack one of them, while Xianko uses her telekinetic power to knock other of them out. They actually hold their own against them and they're actually beating them Henry Gill knows that they will not be able to defeat them and order a retreat. Daniel is getting really angry at Xavier now and screaming to him that he just used them as child soldiers. Xavier defends himself, saying that he didn't force them to fight, but they had no choice. Illyana steps in and starts yelling at Daniel, saying that they had no other choice but to fight. Samuel tries to be the peacemaker and tells everyone that they all did what they had to do. That doesn't mean they have to feel good about it. Daniel walks off angry and Illyana yells for her to come back. But Xavier tells her to calm down and that the two of them will have a talk later. And that was episode 2. I know there wasn't much that happened in episode 2, but things will pick up soon in episode 3. In episode 3, we start off with seeing Henry Gritzer talking to his superior. They are not happy about his failure, telling him that this cannot happen again. They also said that there was a big risk hiring those goons instead of using their own private forces. But Henry Gritzer said that if they were captured and used their own private forces, then the X-Men would have learned about them. His superior tells them that the only reason why this was the perfect time to strike was because they knew the X-Men weren't there. They knew the X-Men would be on a mission and that they are far away from the Xavier Institute. And that's the reason why Xavier needed the New Mutants to fight instead of just calling down the X-Men. Then they tell him that they will not tolerate any other failure or any other risky moves. So they tell him no more hired guns, only their private forces. And he agrees to their orders. Not that he had much of a choice, and then they end their conversation there. Then we hop over to the Xavier school, where we see Xavier lecturing Illyana about her behavior. He tells her that he will not tolerate this kind of behavior. Illyana tells him that if she's not there to be a hero or to do the right thing, why is she there at all? Xavier tells her that that's none of her business and that we all have to choose our own path. Illyana is not willing to listen to him and just walk away. While Illyana is walking down the X-Mansion, she sees Samuel and Daniel talking to each other. She is not really caring that much about the saying. She just eavesdrops a bit and then she walks away. She doesn't really want to cause trouble right now. Then we see Samuel and Roberto talking to each other. Roberto is a little bit worried about Illyana's behavior. He says that she's always been a bit of a mean girl, but she's not really been straight out bully before. Samuel says that it is because she believes that those who have power should use it to stand up for others, because she wants to be just like her big brother, but she's doing it in a wrong way. Roberto tells Sam that Colossus would never tolerate her behavior, and Samuel knows that, but he says that the reason why she looks up to him so much is because he has saved her multiple times in the past because of his mutant power. She believes when you have power, you have responsibility to help those who can't help themselves. And Illyana really looks up to her brother. She wants to be like her brother, but again, she really is doing it the wrong way, and she's not really realized that yet. And then we see Danielle talking to and they both talking about the battle that happened earlier. The thing is, Danielle still feel like Xavier used them as child soldiers. Amara tells her that the difference between child soldiers and child heroes is that child soldiers are forced into battle while child hero chooses the battle. And that is her opinion. Of course, they are a bit disagreeing about it, but Danielle understands her opinion. She doesn't fully agree with it, but she understands it, and the two of them just walk off talking a bit more. Then at night again, Danielle almost having the same dream again. She's dreamed that she is in that forest again. She's dreamed that she's calling for her friends and family, and then this so-called demon bear show up again. Danielle tries to run away from it again, but once again it hunts her down, and exactly the same thing happened. Danielle wakes up screaming and crying, but this time Xavier is there and he really sees the whole situation. He sees how this affects Danielle, and he agrees to help her first thing in the morning. She and Kai is there again to comfort her and helps her calm down. They both go back to sleep, and Xavier wonder if there's something more about this dream that he first realized. Next day, Xavier honors his promise to Danielle and take a look inside of her mind. But when he does, he's almost knocked out. Something inside Daniel's mind is knocking him back or punching him out of her psychic, and he can't really help it. He said that he's gonna work on finding out what this all is, and once he finds out, he's gonna let her know, and they're going to deal with it. Then Danielle decides to take a stroll around the Xavier mansion. She's really not in the mood to talk to anyone, and she's just trying to be alone right now. And then she bumps into Ileana. Ileana tells her that she hurt her having a nightmare and wake up screaming and crying again, and tells her to get out of the school. They doesn't need cowards here. And that really pissed Danielle off, and Danielle punched Ileana in the face. Then the both of them goes down to the danger room where they're starting to fight. They really is holding no punches against each other, and this is a pretty big fight between them. And the fight goes on for 3 minutes until Sam and Roberto come in and stop them. And Sam immediately starts yelling at Daniel and Ileana. Ileana walk up to him and say that he's acting like a teacher, but Samuel strikes back and telling her that he's acting like a team leader, because that is what he is. He's the leader of the New Mutants. Ileana walks back a bit, and then he also says that that also means that he may sometimes have to act like a teacher, if that's what he really thinks. And then Xavier comes down and tells both Danielle and Ileana to meet him at his office. Xavier starts scolding them both, telling them that violence is not accepted in the Xavier Institute. Both of them try to defend themselves, but Xavier says straight out that he doesn't want to hear it. He said that he don't have time to punish them because the New Mutant has the first real mission, and they're gonna help Danielle figure out something about her past, and that they have to leave immediately. They're not going to avoid punishment, but he's willing to set the punishment aside for now. In the last scene of this episode, we see the New Mutant arriving in a forest identical to Daniel's dream, and they're ready to find out what had caused her horrible nightmare. and what this so-called demon bear really is. And that was the third episode. Then we pick up where episode 3 left off, and we see the New Mutants already looking for any clues to can help them figure out the identity of the demon bear. They're really not sure what they are looking for. And then Danielle asks Eliasa what her problem with her really is. Eliasa brings it up to tell her that back in Russia there were so few people with powers that bothered to help those who didn't have powers, that she often found herself at the hands of some punks beating her and her family. The only person back then that helped her and her family was none other than her big brother Colossus. He was the only one who stood up for them, the only one with power that stood up for those who didn't have power. And that is why she respects him so much, and why she really hates those who have power and won't use it to help others, because she's experienced that firsthand. There are also some things that he isn't telling them, but we will soon learn what those things are. Danielle tells her that she understands her, and she also said that if she was in the same position that she was in, that she'd probably be more like her right now. The two of them reconcile, and Sam smiles about this with the rest of the New Mutants, but she then tells them that they had to pick up the pace because she wants to get this mission done. We can tell that there is something that Illyana isn't telling them, but we will soon learn what that is. Then Henry Griggs show up, and they're all ready to fight him, but he tells them that he comes in peace. Illyana isn't really believing him, and is ready to strike him down, but Samuel stops her, saying that they don't kill, and if she strikes him with his sword, she might kill him. Illyana calms down, and they are all willing to listen to him. He tells them that he knows about the demon bear, and he knows what it is. He knows that it's some kind of creature that does not belong on this earth, and that is connected to Daniel. He also tells them that there are more things about the demon bear that even they don't know. He tells that he's working for a secret organization that is hell-bent on capturing that demon bear, and he tells them that he needs Daniel's help to capture it. He proposes a temporary alliance between him and the New Mutants, and they agree, and they start working together. But none of them is willing to trust him, and with good reason. Then they find a specific area, and all of a sudden Danielle starts to recognize it, and she starts to cry. Everyone asks her what's wrong, and she tells them this is where her friends and family all died. And it was at this moment Henry Griggs shows his true color, and informed them that he led them into a trap. A bunch of soldiers ambushed them and managed to capture them all. He then tells them that his plan was always to capture Danielle because she's the key to finding the demon bear. He says that the rest of the mutants are not important and that they can kill them. But then all of a sudden the demon bear appears and he starts cutting and slicing through the soldiers. Henry Griggs pick up his gun and ready to shoot the bear, but the bear is too fast, comes close to him and slices his stomach open. With his dying breath, he tells the New Mutant that the demon bear is a creature from a dimension called Limbo. Liliana knows about this dimension, and she explained to the rest of the New Mutant that she was once captured in Limbo. For on Earth there was a year, but in Limbo there was 10 years. The New Mutants managed to escape. Amara and Renee wants to go back and have Xavier send the X-Men. But then Danielle, Samuel and Ileana stands up and tells them that they can't run away now. They have to stand and fight. They have to fight the Demon Bear. They cannot expect the X-Men to come and save them if they one day is going to become X-Men themselves. And there's no telling if the Demon Bear will be here when they show up. They have to take the fight to the bear now. They all agree to stand and fight, and they're already coming up with a plan. And that was episode 4. Then we see the New Mutants go up against the Demon Bear, and the biggest fight of this season will begin. The New Mutant doing their best to take him down. They're trying to have him go in many different directions, not in just one. The Demon Bear quickly pick up what they're planning, and he knows how to conquer it. He's not going to go after all of them at once, and he goes straight for Danielle. Her telekinetic power and illusion power is barely enough to hold him off. And then Ileana steps in. With one slice of her sword, it actually wounds the bear, and the bear falls back. Then Sam comes in like a projectile right into the bear's stomach. The bear knocks him aside. Sunspot, using the full power of his sun's power, and strike the bear with all his might. Again, it almost wound the bear, but the bear is more than capable of taking it and knock him at the side. Then Danielle and Sean McCoy use the telekinetic power on the bear together. It actually confused the bear a bit, but it doesn't work. Amara tried to burn the bear with her magma power, and the bear back away a bit, but Renee turned into a wolf and attacked it, trying to scratch its eye, but she fails. The New Mutant having a hard time fighting the Demon Bear. Then we hear Danielle saying that this isn't working. We need another plan. Liliana comes up with a plan that if they can't beat the bear, maybe they should send it back to Limbo. Sam asks if she's capable of opening a portal to Limbo. She says she is, but it will take some time, and they will have to fight for a bit without her. They stick to the usual plan, but in addition to have Ileana forming that portal, Danielle and Sean McCoy again use their connecting power, but Danielle also uses her illusion power, and they manage to confuse the bear completely. And then both Sam and Sunspot fire at him at the same time, pushing him back. Amara creates some fire with her magma power, and the bear keeps walking backwards. But then the bear all of a sudden springs forward. Renee has to jump on the bear and bite him in the neck, and then this time she also managed to scratch one of his eyes. The bear is now temporarily blind, but they can see that it starts to heal. But they all focus on that blind spot. And then Ileana's portal is ready, and they manage to push the bear back to the portal. And Ileana stabs the bear in the back, and they all manage together by combining all their powers together, or not really combining them, but using them at the same time. They manage to push the bear back to the portal, and Ileana immediately closed it. They all pass out due to exhaustion from the big battle. And the last thing Danielle is able to see is the X-Man arriving. Danielle wakes up in the infirmary at the X-Mansion, and she sees that Xavier was there waiting for her to wake up. They start talking. Danielle asks him about the demon bear, and Xavier tells them that they successfully defeated the bear. Danielle asks him what they're gonna do if the bear ever returns, but Xavier tells her that the only reason the demon bear was able to escape from the beginning was because of Illyana was able to escape. The demon bear had followed her. Danielle asks why the X-Man suddenly showed up, and Xavier tells her that because of that he was a bit worried. Once the X-Man was done with the previous mission, he immediately sent them to help them. Danielle thanks him for that, and then Xavier leaves. Danielle leaves soon after and start walking down the X-Mansion. While Danielle walking down the X-Mansion, she finds her friends all talking and laughing to each other. And then she goes out and they're all starting to talk to each other again, and they ask Danielle how she's doing. She tells them she's doing fine, that she's now really want to become one of the X-Men and a hero. Illyana hugs her and tells her that it's good to have her around. And the season ends with that. But in a post-credit scene, we see Xavier in the cerebral chamber, where he looked at the name on a screen called Xeno. And this is post-credit scene will set up something in the future. And if someone will wonder why I chose Xeno for an organization in the MCU, it's because I want something from Jonathan Hickman X-Men era in the MCU and in the X-Men franchise. And that's it for this video. Do you think this will be a great way to introduce the New Mutants? Or do you think it's a better way to introduce them? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time!